Hello Max. Introduce the concept of competitiveness and what causes USA's problems in this department. The concept of competitiveness is how a nation is able to attract new companies to its nation by various factors. These factors could be defined in Porter's diamond of competitiveness. According to Porter's diamond, the most significant factors are factor conditions, demand condition, firm strategies, related and supporting industries, and firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. Factor conditions in the country's resources such as human resources and natural resources. The human resources can be defined by how skilled the workers are, such as education or special capital. The demand condition is regarding the home market demand. The more demanding the home market is, the greater the pressure on companies to innovate and improve. Related and supporting industries. The success of one industry can have an effect on related industries or supplies. Firm strategy, structure, and rivalry is mainly set by the politics in certain country, but rivalry can make innovation thrive with the market where the rivalry is high. The USA currency is floating currency, which means the market chooses the price of the US dollar. So, if US government wants to lower the price on the dollar, then they can't, because the demand of the dollar is high, and therefore the price won't go down. And the competitiveness will also be low on the international market.
Task 2. Analyze which countries USA have a surplus/deficit on the balance of payment and why, and the same for which products and services. On the top you see the export, and at the bottom you see the import. USA have a fairly high import but also export. They're primarily exporting cars, planes, helicopters and or spacecrafts, refined petroleum and packaged medicaments. While they're exporting cars, planes, helicopters and or spacecrafts, refined petroleum and packaged medicaments, they're also importing a lot of cars, crude petroleum, broadcasting equipment and computers. Labor productivity can be improved by increasing spending on education and training to help develop skills and close any skill gap. Pros: more qualified workers on the job market are available, and the cons are that it is expensive and takes time. Governments may also promote a more flexible labor market, such as reducing trade union power, encouraging part-time work, and encouraging new business startups. However, this also takes time, and the increase in flexibility can reduce worker security and lead to lower wages. Overall, USA imports for $2.16 trillion, while they're only exporting for $1.25 trillion. The countries that USA imports the most from are countries like China, Mexico, Canada, Japan, and Germany. The country that they're importing the most from is primarily China. While China is the country they're importing the most from, they're also up there as the country for exporting from the USA. The balance of payment for USA was in 2018 minus $4.88 billion. One of the reasons why they're in such a deficit is because they're import/export. USA is the country in the world that imports the most, while they're the third country in the world that exports the most. USA is importing from China, as we touched earlier. Although their import from China is high, they're not exporting the most to China, which means they're already creating a deficit. And they're also generally not exporting enough compared to what they're importing. As the table shows above, USA has a higher import from every country than export, which of course leads to a deficit. This deficit was in 2018 minus $488.48 billion, according to the World Bank. Also central to an effective strategy is to improve competitiveness is strategy inflation under control. This can be achieved through a combination of monetary and physical measures. Pros to this would be a stable exchange rate could also create less uncertainty and would give firms more confidence to invest. Cons would be that higher interest rates can also deter investments and could damage competitiveness in the long run. The level of competition in product markets can also be improved by deregulating to reduce barriers to entry, though this has its limits as some regulations is needed to protect consumers and employees from unfair practices. In addition, privatization of industry is also likely to improve competitiveness, but there are few industries left in the US to privatize. Finally, reducing the monopoly power through regulations and competition policies are strategies that can be effective in creating a more dynamic and competitive microeconomy. However, this can be argued that the monopoly power helps generate some dynamic effect, and the advantages of economies of scale might be lost if monopolies are broken up. Pros of this is by reducing the monopoly power, it can create competition in the industry. This will force the companies to become more innovative and fight for the lowest prices or best products. Cons would be that it has its limits as some regulations are needed to protect consumers and employees from unfair practices.